If you got a Grand National and you don't have good braking power, this is what you should do. If you've got a GNX, one of the lucky 547 people, or if you have a really immaculate, beautiful, true, well-documented Grand National with less than 30,000 miles, then you should consider putting a Powermaster on it. You should consider putting the Powermaster on it because it's gonna scream originality to the car. It is gonna scream that, hey, this car throughout the lifespan of the car has always been maintained. By putting the Powermaster on your GNX or your low mileage Grand National, that is gonna increase the value of it due to originality. So the question is, why Hydroboost? From the factory on a 1986 or a 1987 Buick Grand National, you're gonna get a Powermaster. The Powermaster runs off an electric motor, and that electric motor is really hard to come by. And a lot of times you'll find leaks with the motor. A lot of times it just won't work the way it should. And a lot of times when the Powermaster goes bad, that could be your life. A lot of people worry about if the Powermaster goes bad, you'll hit somebody's car and mess up the car. But I want to challenge people to think differently. If that Powermaster goes bad, that could be your life. So for me, the safest option is to go with a Hydroboost braking system. Some people go with a vacuum brake, and it's a cheaper alternative. It does work for lower horsepower builds, but when you really start throwing that power at your car, the Hydroboost system is the best system to go with. So what I got right here is the factory Powermaster. On the market, you're gonna pay close to $2,000 for it. And then secondly, you better hope that it's right. And some of the people that rebuild it, they'll offer a lifetime warranty. But the reality is, what good is the warranty if you can't get the parts? Replacing the Powermaster with a rebuilt Powermaster, the cons are, hey, it's gonna be very difficult to find, it's gonna be very expensive to replace, and there's gonna be limited people who can actually do it the right way. Just because you paid for a rebuilt Powermaster doesn't mean it's gonna be right. So if you want this, you have to decide, is it worth it to you to go through keeping the car original? And some cars like the GNXs and the really, really immaculate Grand Nationals, those are worth it to me to go and try to replace the Powermaster. Now, another option, which is what I recommend doing, is converting it over to Hydroboost. So the Hydroboost unit that we use is from CPP. The CPP unit bolts right, so you'll pull this out. There are, just 4 bolts. You'll pull these 4 bolts out. I'm sorry, you take these nuts off of these bolts right here. Pull this off of the firewall. And then the new Hydroboost unit, it'll bolt right to the firewall. No modifications, it bolts right on there, no problem. Now, some of the things you have to have is you have to upgrade the line kit. There is a new power steering reservoir. So Hydroboost gets its power from the power steering pump. The Powermaster gets its power and your braking power comes from this electronic motor right here, okay? And this electronic motor, when you press the pedal, is forcing pressure to the calipers through this motor right here. So that's where you're getting your power from. Now, the Hydroboost unit, it doesn't have an electric motor. The Hydroboost itself is hydraulic assisted, and it's getting this hydraulic power from the power steering pump. So there's a new line kit involved, there's a new power steering reservoir involved, and then you gotta change the master cylinder. We like the Willwood master cylinder. It works really, really nicely, and then you need to change the proportioning valve that's on the frame right there. You need to change the proportioning valve, make new lines coming from the proportioning valve to the master cylinder, and then the master cylinder will be directly connected to the Hydroboost unit. So if you have gotten to this part of the video, probably means you love what you're seeing. And if you love what you're seeing, I want to encourage you to hit that subscribe button. We got so much good content coming out. So much good content. You got my journey to 1,000 horsepower Grand National. You've got some Grand National secrets that we're about to unveil. And lastly, you got some wonderful technical videos where we're gonna show you the ins and outs on a lot of different installations. And if you need some Grand National parts, check this out. WattsPerformance.com. We started a new LLC called Turbo 6 Parts. And on Turbo 6 Parts, you can find literally anything from brand new parts. You can find good quality used parts. And you can also find some rare hidden gems. So all you gotta do is go to wattsperformance.com, click on Turbo 6 Parts at the top, check out all kind of excellent deals from new to used parts. A lot of these parts we're pulling directly off of cars that we're servicing. A lot of these parts, to be honest with you, our cars have gone through many, many different iterations. So I took my car from a 12-second car and I'm about to hit 8s. So there's a lot of parts that I've just personally taken off my own car that are still in good condition. And then there's a lot of cars that come in here, really good running cars, and we're taking those parts off of those cars and then we're putting them on our website to sell. And one more thing, if you got a Grand National and you need a little direction, we offer consultation services. So go to wattsperformance.com, click connect with us. I don't take phone calls because we're so busy, but if you need something, book an appointment with me. We offer 3 different distinct options by appointment only. See which option fits best for you. You know, if you're ready to schedule maintenance, click schedule maintenance. It'll take you to Calendly, and you can book some time on the calendar. And there's just going to be a couple of questions for you to answer, and we'll get connected. So you want to talk about the best braking system for your Grand National. This is it. You know, you want to go with a Hydroboost unit. This is what I recommend. The part availability is there. The knowledge is there. You know, I got all the knowledge in the world to get your Hydroboost unit working the way that it should. I've got over 5 years of installation experience, so I know exactly how to make these systems work, and if there's any questions, I can help you troubleshoot it. But outside of part availability and knowledge, it really does work. You know, when we put these in, you don't have to worry about pressing the brake really hard. Like you more so have to worry about not pressing the brake pedal hard to be able to stop, because it doesn't take much effort to be able to stop, and I'm all about safety. Let's talk about what we got here. So you got your Hydroboost unit right here. The Hydroboost unit connects directly to the firewall, no modifications needed. And then you got your Wildwood master cylinder. And then connected to the Wildwood master cylinder, I go with an adjustable proportioner valve. So this proportioner valve is gonna really allow me to give my front brakes the power that I wanted to have, and then my back brakes to have the power that I wanted to have. I like to have about a 60-40 split. Some people would disagree, but this is what I like, and this is what I found to be the safest. So 60% of my stopping power in the front, 40% of my stopping power in the back. So this adjustable proportioner valve gives me that power to adjust the braking power. And then from this adjustable proportioner valve, we got some custom lines made, and those custom lines go down to the stock replacement proportioner valve that's right there on the frame. So when you get to the proportioner valve on the frame, you got to do some planning on the front end to say, okay, am I going to keep the factory setup, so which would be a disc in the front and a drum in the back? So in this case, my customer, he had already knew ahead of time that he wanted to go with disc brakes in the back. So we got a disc to disc proportioner valve on the frame. That really matters because that proportioner valve on the frame is going to send the right pressure to the rear brakes. So coming back from the bottom up, you got stock replacement proportioner valve on the frame. Coming up, you got custom lines coming to the adjustable proportioner valve, and that's gonna send my pressure that I want from the front to the back, get that dialed in the way it needs to be. Then you got the adjustable proportioner valve connected to the master cylinder, and then your master cylinder connected to the Hydroboost unit. All right, so that takes care of your braking. The Hydroboost unit is hydraulic assisted. And so it gets its hydraulic power from the power steering pump. On every single build, we make a one-off line kit. We tweak it every single time. We're getting better, and maybe one day we'll be able to sell it, but for right now, we're just still tweaking it every single time so that we can get it right, and with hopes of one day being able to sell it. That way it's simplified and it's easy for people to understand on how to install the kit. So the line kit, you have a line coming from the power steering pump to the Hydroboost unit. And that's basically pump is feeding the Hydroboost unit. And then you have to have a baffled reservoir. A lot of times the Hydroboost kits get a bad reputation because of how the brake pedal feels. And most of the time it's because people don't have the correct power steering reservoir. You need a baffled reservoir with an anti-splash kit on it. So oftentimes, you know, I read the internet and people that have converted over to Hydroboost, they're having problems with it. And the problems that I always hear is a jerky brake pedal or spongy brake pedal. It just doesn't feel right. And if that is the problem on your Buick Grand National and you've converted it over to Hydroboost and it ain't working for you, I guarantee you, you have a stock power steering reservoir and you have teed this return line or teed a feed line. You need 3 individual ports on a reservoir. Do not tee it because it's too much pressure. So what we do on our builds, we get a PSC baffled reservoir. And that is how you get away of the whining noises. That is how you get away of jerky brake pedal. That is how you get away from the spongy brake pedal. You need a baffled reservoir, and we recommend getting the PSC baffled reservoir for your Hydroboost conversion product. I've done my extensive research on Hydroboost systems, and so over the years, I've decided to take and create my own kit. Here's the kit.